Raise your horns high and let your spirit flow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show. Feel the rush, let the loudness grow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show.
The best lineup was the lineups that always included Paul Raven. So the Rio Grande Blood, I think I saw that tour twice. Like I mean, shit, that was awesome.
What year was that?
Uh 2006. So 2006, and then also The Last Sucker was great. Um
What was the one around that era? It was during the Bush administration, Bush Jr. He did a thing again, a whole album
well, that
basically.
was Rio Grande Blood.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was he
Yeah.
played some of that at the Regency because he
Yeah.
had the anti-Bush things on the stage and he was throwing the traffic
And
cones into the
that's when
crowd
he
and
had Joey Jordison from Slipknot on drums, and he had the Longhorn steer skull on the drum set and shit. I mean, that was just fucking awesome. And that's when he had the bass. No, no, wait a minute. That was that Paul Raven? Paul Raven. And then after when Raven passed, I think is when he had Tony Campos on bass. So
yes,
yeah,
it
I
was
mean,
definitely
just
before Campos I
yeah,
saw
and
him. Yeah,
then Tommy Victor from Prong on guitar. I mean,
Prong.
fuck.
Yeah.
That was
He's
fucking
had good
awesome.
musicians. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Again, don't always agree with his politics. Once in a while, though, like with the Bush thing at the time, I was
Hmm.
pretty much like, yeah, Bush is a warmonger. I ain't got no problem with
Right.
you talking trash about him.
Sure.
He's trying to blow people up.
And I think even
That was just
even
my
if he
feelings, you know.
does, I mean, I think the last show it must have been three years ago. I think the last tour that he did, he had um well, I have a fucking Jeep, but you know those stupid ducks that they put on the Jeeps? So,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
stupid
Yeah,
duck
yeah,
thing. Well, he
yeah,
had
yeah,
blow up ducks and they looked like Trump, and I was like, "You know what? That's fucking hysterical." I mean,
yeah.
regardless of how you feel about, Trump, I mean, that was funny. He had,
Hmm.
the hair, and they would I mean, they were huge. They were on the right and left side of the stage, and it's like that is kind of funny.
Well, they
But
had the it was like Bush with X's over his eyes and a
mm,
circle with the thing, and then they
yeah.
had them on sticks they were handing out or
Oh
selling at
yeah.
the merch table. So a lot of the
Right.
people were holding in the crowd these anti-Bush signs, which was funny. So and
Yeah.
then he comes out there first song with a stack of orange traffic cones, and he just
Oh
starts
yeah.
hucking traffic cones into the crowd in between his vocals. I'm like, this dude is just. And San Francisco is full of ministry type
Mm-hmm.
people who are
Oh yeah.
coming ready swinging with fists to hit this mosh pit and
Right.
destroy you or anyone in their way. And it's
Yeah.
there was definitely blood flying. I was just fortunate to not get it that night. So
Yeah. Yeah, he's always put on good shows. I think this time he's focusing on a lot of the what is it, the wax tracks type era. They're more of the
yeah, the
electronic stuff,
early
which I'd
stuff,
still
yeah.
see. I mean, I didn't really get into Ministry until like what the Mind is a terrible thing to taste era.
Mhm.
So there you
Yeah.
go.
They were always one of those bands. I'm the kind of kid that grew up in Northern California during the late 80s. So there was a lot of skateboarding and
Hmm.
surfing, and bands that kind of fell into those margins for me was like a lot of skaters listen to Ministry. A lot of skaters would listen to Suicidal Tendencies. A lot of skaters would listen to surfer guys were
Hmm.
turning me on to Sublime and all that kind of stuff. And so, it's just, one of those things that always reminds me of an era in my life when I was younger and
I
more able-bodied and
Yeah,
shit
yeah,
didn't matter. And you didn't have like phones or this shit. You just got on a skateboard with your
right,
Walkman or a ghetto blaster and found your friends.
right. And I
So,
don't know
yeah.
if there was that other offshoot band that he was part of, the Revolting Cocks.
Yes,
I
the
don't know if you ever
revolting
got that,
cocks. Yes, my
but
one of my friends in high
yeah,
school always would try to wear the revolting cock shirt, which would
right,
then
to
get him
school,
tossed out of school because it said
right.
cock on the shirt.
But then he did do, and I don't know if you've heard this. I bought that, but I was kind of disappointed when he goes, "Oh, I'm going to do a country record," and it was like, and it was just by the title of the band, you knew it wasn't going to be any good. But I was like, I'm not even going to
Yeah.
sample it. I'm just going to buy it. But it was
Hmm.
Buck Satan and the 666 Shooters, so it's like almost kind of like electronic bluegrass, and it just doesn't work, you know.
Al's never been afraid of experimenting,
Right.
and you don't, I mean, the live show is one thing. When you get recorded products, you almost don't know what you're going to get sometimes.
Hmm.
So, even the album that put them in the MTV era, that was actually quite a
Hmm.
detour from what they had been doing previously.
Sure.
So, but I just say if you go see them live, then you'll understand. They're one of
Oh
those
yeah.
bands. The same like, Suicidal Tendencies, a lot of
Oh
people,
yeah.
but go see them live one time and then you kind of understand why,
Right.
as long as Mike Muir can get up there and spit out the words in enough speed and
Hmm.
time and keep his back from breaking in two, then
Right.
the band he puts together behind him always
Is
throws
always
down.
good.
I don't care who they are. He has an ear for which guys can be on the drums and guitar that's going to make
Hmm.
it sound like Suicidal Tendencies. So
Right.
yeah, more power to them. Those guys are always, and they're, more power to them because they're not always your headliner, but they're always out there playing shows, earning dough,
Hmm.
kicking ass, making fans.
Right.
So yeah,
Good.
I like high energy bands too, and both of those
Right.
are high energy bands. So
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
they are. So
So what else do we have on the docket? I think we were going to talk. There's really nothing to mention regarding the last week or two of the CMS because it's
no,
been the
it's been the same shit.
same
It's
old,
funny
same
though
old.
because they're just coasting. And somebody posted, and I don't know if it was you or Andrew. No, I think it was somebody else that commented that it's almost like the show's being killed from the inside.
Yeah,
Which
I believe that was on the Facebook
on the
group, if I'm
Facebook
not
page,
mistaken.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I was like,
and
well, that's funny
can't
that you bring that up
does
because
feel
it's
a little
crossed my
bit like,
mind.
and I can't tell, it's not, it's their show to run, but it does make you
Hmm.
wonder: is it does is the Aiken doing the soccer thing then
Hmm.
limit some of the things they may or may not say because some of it is just inappropriate, not, or I'm not saying we have any effect on them other than I think that there's some behind the scenes,
Oh,
but
sure.
I do wonder, like, is it just like they don't have like any competition, or they're not? It always feels to me like they're trying to press the Eddie Trunk angle, but
Yeah.
that doesn't go anywhere because
And it
Trunk's not
never
going to
goes
respond to
anywhere
you
because,
anyways. Yeah, he's
yeah,
never going to acknowledge you guys unless you bring him on the show and interview him and
right.
promote whatever he's doing. So
Which do you not think they're almost trying that angle with us? It's like they're not going to acknowledge it. It's like, oh, they'll just go away.
I definitely feel that way. The odd thing to me is like, guys, you're not on Trunks level, not on any
No.
way, shape, or form. So I don't even know why that would be where you would go. And
Mm-mm.
there's plenty of other shows, not counting this bunch of knuckleheads here, but there's plenty of other shit out there you could be, as you used to do in the old days, going over and cracking
Right.
jokes at. But they don't really do that anymore. I don't really know why that is. I don't know who makes that decision. And you know, uh, the show's kind of evolved to, hey, so how was your week? This is what I did. Didn't talk to you, only
Right.
texted you. Okay,
Right.
what the blah, blah,
And
blah.
that's
And then
like
they
the
go on
first
to,
hour,
yeah, hour. And then they get some new songs in there. And
30
then
minutes of music.
Chris is pushing for more songs because he doesn't
Yeah.
want to talk as much and he wants to
Sure.
get off this fucking microphone. And Neely's pushing for less or this. And then they go to like some news stories and like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. But like they're not even music news stories, which is why I'm on the
No.
CMS. The classic metal show is for rock music news. And they're
Right.
talking about stuff that's like totally rando off whatever
Sure.
website they saw. And some of it's as we know they do. It gets into politics, it gets into
Hmm.
cultural issues and things that just, in my opinion, are not why I'm here to listen to the
And,
CMS.
and I
And
think they get jacked off by those fuckers in the Rumble chat because they're probably baked and drunk or both. They show
yeah.
up because they don't have much of a life and that's like their go-to place on a Saturday night.
And I gotta be being fair. Some of the comments that pop up on the screen when you watch the show on Rumble Live are the funnier parts of the show now because
Hmm.
those guys are funnier than what the guys are doing on the thing. And
Yeah.
when I do get something funny, what I realized the other day was listening to an old segment while I was doing chores around the house was it's Aiken. They need to let Aiken run wild.
Hmm.
There was a segment just where they were doing something that seems, slightly mundane and shouldn't be funny, but it was Aiken. They watched a video of something, but then Aiken said, open the comments. And then
Hmm.
Aiken read the comments kind of into people's voices
Hmm.
who would make the comments. And that was fucking funny, man.
Right.
And, but it didn't involve anything of, this guy over here,
Yeah.
he don't even, I mean, I don't even, he had nothing funny to say about
Yeah.
it, but snicker at Aiken. But that's what they need to get back to, man. So, they're never going to listen to me, and they don't want to even acknowledge that Evil Knievel
No.
exists.
And
So
they'll ban you from Rumble chat. I mean,
even though if they would
they
have
don't
us on the
care.
show, we could have a couple cocktails and we can cut it up with our
Well,
friend
think about
Wendell
this.
here.
I mean, if they took a swipe at us, I think that's what they're afraid of, is that they claim they don't care, but they really do, and they know we don't care, and that's what scares them.
I think what's going on here is I don't think Aiken really does care. I think it's
Miss Joe.
I don't
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
That
don't
guy.
think he's taken this too well. It's
No.
it's my look. It's my
Yeah,
look, and it's the back.
yeah,
The show name, and
yeah.
he sanctioned us. He did do that, but we probably realize now he didn't really what I was getting to, or
No.
he felt pressured to do it on the air because I was right there on the phone and he
And
didn't
no
know what else to
calls.
do
I
with
mean,
me.
isn't that weird? It's like they're
Yeah,
basically they've
that's another thing.
castrated
Yeah,
they've
they
castrated
yeah.
themselves in the sense that they're not getting Aussie Ace, which was great.
I was just going to bring that up. I was going to say, why couldn't they have an Aussie Ace back on the show?
Even
Why? There's
Barden.
a
I mean, as much as
Yeah.
I hate his
Why won't they let Tim
Ed
James call
Roth,
in
yeah, Tim
and
James, those
vent some
three,
opinions? Yeah.
right?
So just someone else's opinion to spice it up once in a while. You're not going to answer the phone for me and Andrew. That's been proven. But there's
Hmm.
other people you could take calls from who would have hot takes or funny takes or things to chime in on some of these things. But I think part of why that also has happened is because they're no longer discussing music, which
Mm-mm.
is what most of us are there for. They're always
Right.
venturing off into topics and commentary of things that we either don't know anything about, a news story we've never heard of, or things that we just don't really find that much humor in, me personally. And so, yeah, there's times where I'm just like listening, but I'm doing stuff on my phone or whatever on
Hmm.
the hand.
Oh yeah.
Man, honestly, for our show is the real reason why I
Right.
still spend some time on a Saturday night doing that. But I'll tell you right now, there's going to be a Saturday night coming up soon where my band's playing. I'm not going to pay
Right.
attention to
Well,
CMS at
it'll be
all.
the same show as the week before.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about it unless they get a guest once in a while or something, sparkles. But
Like
so
Anthony
not much to
Cumia.
really. Well, we don't. That's
Anthony Cumia. Yeah. Mm.
he doesn't know that Kumi is never coming on the show.
Yeah.
So
He blew it. So
just keep driving, Wendell. You just
yeah,
keep driving.
just keep quiet.
So yeah, just Taylor's waiting back at the hotel. And
Taylor.
she's got 2 or 3 takeouts of food for each of us. So
She's got his credit
um,
card.
yeah, she's been at Nordstrom while we've been driving
Yeah.
around the track. Wendell, Jesus.
I wonder if she's
So,
got like one of
anyways.
those little what do you call that? Those little squares in her purse.
It's just disheartening to Evil because I've been blocked, so I have
Me,
no
I
idea
think me
anymore
too. I
what's
mean, I
going
don't
on.
think I've ever. I think I should look. Maybe I probably am.
I
But
think
again,
once I saw that she actually read the messages, probably clicked
yeah,
on a few of the videos that the block came, and so she
she
wasn't
couldn't take
enjoying
it.
me.
She's like, wait a minute, these guys are
And
assholes.
her loyalty is to who.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
yeah,
mean, that's
so
where the
she's
Benjamins are coming from, right?
even if I am the younger brother, I'm the
Yeah,
step younger, the
you're the
the
step
redheaded
younger, right?
stepchild of the family, so to speak. We don't have the same mom, so he
Mm,
doesn't acknowledge me. Yeah, so anyways, moving on from the CMS, we don't have
right.
much to discuss there.
Nah.
I was just going to bring a couple of quick news items, which I thought was of interest here that Evil had took notice of since the last time we spoke. Besides Mr. Hagar's passing,
Hmm.
which it's just sad to hear.
Right.
Did you see this thing about? Well, first off, I'll just mention. So as we all knew and suspected, yeah, Kelly Hansen is stepping out
Oh
of
yeah.
order, and they're going to
And,
let the other guy chime in. And
and I,
do you think they're just going to keep pushing Lou Graham out for the 3 or 4
yeah.
songs so they could be like, hey, this is Foreigner?
Well, because that's all he can do. I mean, kind of like some of the singers that
Well,
we've discussed.
like
I
they
mean,
were
they're good
doing
for a
with
couple
Mick.
songs.
If he comes out for a
Hmm.
couple tunes,
Well,
he's like your anchor to the past. He's like
but
the guy
Mick,
who was the old school dude.
yeah, Mick hasn't been out in a bit. Like I remember, and this has probably been a bit too.
Mhm.
I remember at the Moda Center, Rose. I don't forget whether it was Moda Center, Rose Garden. They changed the name, but
Yeah.
there was Journey, Night Ranger, and Foreigner. Now that was a good bill at that
Good
time, but
package.
that was like a decade ago, probably at this point. Hanson, man, fucking great. Um, And Night Ranger's Night Ranger. I mean, I think they're going to do all the usual suspects, and same with Journey. But I really enjoyed Foreigner and Hanson
Mhm.
again. Man, uh,
Belts it out.
moderate fan of Hurricane, but man,
Hurricane.
he
Yeah.
really was a good fit. Now I don't know that I'd go see Foreigner with that guy, the new guy. It just doesn't do it for me. He just, it's kind of
Well, and
almost
I
like Mitch Malloy and
obviously,
Great White to me.
yeah,
Um,
a little bit of that going
yeah.
on, and it makes me feel like, so to be if they were to peel back the curtain,
Hmm.
obviously Mick kind of fallen out with the health issues, and
Right.
then so where they kind of wrap it up because Kelly didn't really want to stay on the road, but now that Kelly's out of the picture, is it like, well, now we can stay on the road because this kid's young, and as long as
Hmm.
again Lou will come out for 4 songs a night and make it appear to the crowd that this is old
Hmm.
foreigner with new foreigner, then we can
Right.
still go out and do this. And it makes me wonder, yeah, are they not
Yeah.
so not
Yeah.
the end, probably
And,
going to continue to tour, in
and I
my
think
opinion.
with I think Aiken was alluding, oh well, he's gonna get out, but I'm like, yeah, I mean, I think like I had mentioned to you guys privately, it's like, yeah, something's happening there,
Yeah.
just because of some people that work for in the foreigner camp.
And
Yeah.
can I just say that it kind of reminds me of, not the same exactly, but with him speaking Spanish and
Hmm.
having the whole connection to Latin
Yeah.
American countries and things, is this going to open them up to more international touring?
Yeah.
And
Maybe.
much like Journey would use Arnell to open up even more avenues in Asian American countries, maybe they can,
Sure.
I don't know how much it didn't feel to me in the past that Foreigner did a lot
Right.
of South American dates, but immediately they
Yeah.
got this guy and they're down there in South America with him and Lou Graham
And
singing
maybe.
songs and
I mean, I think you think
just
of when Hanson was on board, going back, a bit years back, they were doing like festivals at all these metal festivals with like black metal bands and shit. And then
mhm.
here's Foreigner, and
Yeah.
they went over pretty well from the footage I've seen.
They're a lot like Journey,
Mhm.
where it's still okay. You won't be not cool. You'll still be cool even as a metalhead if you
Mhm.
have them in the middle of a festival and you rock out to a little Journey or Foreigner. They're
Right.
just heavy enough and just have enough songs that I think that especially, and again, I just don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Foreigner did a lot of foreign tours and I just never noticed. But it seems
Yeah.
to me like they would be the kind of band if they didn't do as much of that. Maybe this opens up an avenue for them to get a little more money, a little more extra dates in some places we've never played before, playing some larger places. We have this guy who can now. It seems like to me that would be the way that they've operated before business wise. I could see them trying to say,
I
hey,
mean, to
Lou, we
me,
can get a little more and you can get a cut if you can just get
right.
up there and do these 4 songs and be look like make it appear like you're handing the baton off to the kid over here.
Mhm. Yeah, but
And
I
Lou,
think,
if he only has to carry the weight for 4 songs, he could probably pull that off. And how much am
oh
I
yeah.
getting? I got nothing better to do. I'll walk
Yeah,
out
he
there.
can do two songs, take a 6, 7 song breather, come back for the
Yeah, come
encore.
back out for two
Yeah,
more with the other guy, and then yeah, and honestly, I'm not knocking him. To me, it sounds like a smart business, but I'm actually kind of looking at who's ever behind Mick Jones's camp,
right.
going, you guys, if it's Pilsen, there you guys, someone's making the right decisions here to keep this thing afloat and to keep. And I don't blame Kelly. I mean, if you think about it, what has he been in the band 20 years now?
Yeah, yeah,
25 years? He's been a long time, so it's
right,
not like we had a short term gig here. He's probably made plenty of money, and so
right.
but I did always hear that he had visa issues, and that's why he
Hmm.
wasn't always doing the international touring. So that made me wonder maybe they
Hmm.
couldn't do as much international touring with Hanson, but now that Hanson's not in the picture, they
Right.
can go to. Which again, I think some of these other countries, if they haven't had Foreigner in 10 years, they probably get a pretty fat paycheck to go down there and do
Right.
some shows. So
Yeah.
that was one thing. The other thing I noticed here in the news cycle that I thought was again low, we brought up the fact that Godsmack changed some band members, and
Hmm.
now Soley says that Godsmack is going to take a year off.
That's awesome. I'm a fan
So
of
did
that.
did Larkin and the guy leaving make him feel like,
Right.
well, shit, it's only me and you, pal, and we'll wrap up these shows
Well,
we got on the schedule, and
I,
then we're going to put the kibosh on this.
I think the guy that they had on guitar though is in Faster Pussycat and Slash's band. So I mean, it's not like he can up and leave those cush gigs. I think he just was
Mm-hmm.
available and he threw some
Full at the
dough at
time.
him.
So,
I
yeah,
forget
yeah.
who was the drummer? I don't even remember.
I don't even remember either who they got in. I just thought it was
but
interesting that he now says that they're going to take a year off
but
after two of
again,
the guys who've been in the band for 20 years walked away.
but as an Alice in Chains fan and a guy that grew up listening to the real grunge bands, I mean, they're Candlebox to me. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not a huge Candlebox fan either. Godsmack's probably a little better than Candlebox, but I mean, if you have
Bigger
Alice in
as
Chains,
far as tickets sold in
yes,
venues,
yeah.
but yeah,
But
but
if you
not
have,
musically. I could see what you're
yeah,
saying.
I mean, if you have Alice in, how would we put it? If you have AC/DC, why would you listen to Rhino Bucket? I mean, it's just kind of
Mhm.
that kind of comparison that it's like, yeah, go with the real deal. Kind of like if you have a Ramones sounding band, it's just fucking listen to the Ramones, you know?
Yeah, I do
Um,
agree with that. And their early stuff definitely made me
oh yeah.
feel that. Later, there was a couple songs I thought were
Yeah.
not too bad, but they were definitely just radio songs to me.
Yeah, I
It was
think
like
the
something
first
that's
two
strictly built
Godsmack
for
records were decent. I mean, I enjoy those, but at the same time, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I'm listening to fucking Alice in Chains Light.
Chains. You just put Lane on, and
Right.
to me, Alice in Chains is my favorite Seattle band of all
Hmm.
of them. Anyways, Lane was the best, I think,
Right.
singer, and you can. Well, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But there's a whole period there where from Facelift into
Hmm.
Dirt, I was just like, man, these two albums are
Right.
fucking badass. So,
Right.
anyways, I just thought it was weird that Godsmack was taking a year off after losing two members. You think they would have just announced that when the two guys walked out the door? We're gonna take a
No
year
shit.
off. We got two of our guys left here.
Yeah.
But so then they got just a side note, which is maybe one of these guys is not exactly an A-lister, and the other guy is pretty popular. But so Pete of Trickster is telling
Oh yeah.
Sebastian, give it up, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just hang
Right.
it up. You're never coming back. I called for you to Rachel, and he said you're not coming back.
That
So,
was funny.
I'm not saying
Now,
he said that. I'm just saying it is
yeah,
funny how
yeah.
he just chimes
He
in with "shut the fuck up."
and and he's not wrong. I mean, it's like,
No,
I
no,
mean, could you blame Skid Row? I think if you beat cancer, why would you want it back?
yeah. And there's just and but again, I would say on the convert and Sebastian side of the coin, you'd have to ask the question: what are they doing?
Hmm.
Who's? I mean, we're going to go through almost probably at this, unless they're dropping something that is completely silent and no one's heard
Yeah,
of.
and
Then, as
might
of this
be,
point, they're going to
might
go
be.
through the entire calendar year with
Yeah,
no shows, no music, no nothing. So
and who
it does
knows?
make me wonder who you getting to sing, bro.
Who knows? I mean, who knows? What if they're working with a new singer now, and they just go, well, a record comes out in a month.
Well, I kind of did wonder, but they're have they done that in the past? It seems usually they go out with shows with the guy for a
Hmm.
minute, and then they go back and record something with him, and then they take him back out on the road. And usually somewhere in the process of the recording to going back on the road is when a guy like Harnell or someone says, "I'm out of here. Fuck this. I ain't
Yeah,
doing this." So,
boy,
or
that was another
Gronwald,
bad fit.
didn't he do dates and do an
Yeah.
album and then get some more dates under his belt, and then he said, "I'm out." So,
I think he did. He did re-records, and they did like a live DVD album that never came out. And he was like, I'm out of here."
yeah. Which I think they have now released, though. I think you go on YouTube and watch the live stuff with
There
him over
might
there.
be,
But
yeah.
but the point is, I just feel like, I don't know what's left in the tank, would be my
Right.
question. Are we running on E here in general? Is there anything, because I mean, if you really don't want to, if you're just like Whip and Eddie and Queensryche and you're not hearing it to sing with Sebastian, they don't want nothing to do with Tate, and they want
Well,
nothing to do with Sebastian, then, you got to find your Latore,
well,
bro. And
think
I don't
about
know if
this though.
they're
I
doing
mean,
that.
we were just chatting about Poison. What if Piercy or Rat, is the middle slot. Skid Row
It's
that's
the
the
opening.
triple bill. Fuck, I think that would do
With the
decent
Sebastian
business.
on the vocals, I actually think that
Well,
would do decent business as
maybe
well.
Sebastian or maybe
Or
just
the new
Skid Row.
singer,
Yeah.
or just the new singer. Yeah, you
Hmm.
get to find out who this new person is.
Right.
If they had someone like a Brett Carlisle or a Todd Latore or a Nate Peck who's
Hmm.
gonna, carry the microphone properly and knock it out of the park, I'm not opposed. I just keep wondering when are they going to actually show that they're doing something. And
Right.
the drummer made it sound a couple months ago like they were just trying guys out, and I was like, well, it doesn't really sound very promising if you're just
Well, who knows?
cold.
He's just a contractor. Maybe they're trying out drummers too.
Could be possible, but I have the sneaking suspicion that Rachel will be the one doing this decision making in the
Right.
band. And as a bass player, and I'm a bass
Mhm.
player, I can tell you that if there's one person Rachel might want in the room when he tries out somebody, it's probably going to be the drummer. You can't really play
Yeah,
bass
right.
without drums. It's just
Right.
not, there's nothing
Right.
happening there. So
Yeah.
now I'd also imagine because of their time in the band, how would Snake and Scotty not be in the room trying to
Sure.
figure out, does this guy got the goods or not?
Do
And
you
so,
think Rachel will steal Jimmy DeAnda from the project?
I think he's going to stick with his. I think Jimmy DeAnda would ask for too much money, and Mr.
Right.
Hammersmith probably comes pretty
Right.
cheap. So
Right.
it's like,
Right.
what else
And-
is
and he-
Hammersmith known for? Right?
Yeah, and he's been in the band for what decade,
Oh,
a
20
decade
years.
at least,
Yeah, I
at
mean,
least
yeah,
15
I mean,
years. Yeah.
Yeah, when they were doing the Kiss dates with
Oh, that's right.
Solinger,
Solinger.
Hammersmith, I think, was on the drums there after
Yeah.
Veroni, right? Wasn't Veroni on
Yeah.
there for
Wasn't that
a
like
minute?
97, 98 or something? 96?
Yeah, it's a long time ago. So anyway, but right around there, they went through one guy, and then they got him, and then they stuck with him for a long time.
So if you were to put together a human centipede of former Skid Row singers, what order would you arrange them in? Like if you have Bach, what's that guy?
Yeah.
Is it ZP Theert?
ZP Thart or
Art,
Thurt or
yeah.
Threet or however you say that.
Eric
last name. We'll just call him
Gronwall,
ZP. Eric
and
ZP,
and then
Tony.
Johnny, the corpse of Johnny Solinger.
Solinger and Tony, and then you got
Tony Harnell, and then Matt.
Sebastian.
Oh,
And Matt Fallon was the original guy. If you listen
Yeah.
to the YouTube demos,
Oh,
I
let's
never
not count
obviously
him. Fuck,
Yeah.
that's a lot of singers. I don't know that I want to bother.
Yeah, that's a lot of dudes. But the bottom line is we can rank them and know that Sebastian would obviously be everyone's number one. The question is, what's your number two? Right?
I think I would.
there's no one-
I would put Bach at the back. He'd be eating
Yeah,
everybody's
he's-
shit.
Everybody, yeah.
I think,
The shit eater.
and I don't know. I mean,
Dude!
I
You
think
shit on my chest!
I don't know. At this
Dude!
point, should I put Gronwell on the back? I mean,
Put on the Kiss record, man, if you're going to keep shitting on me, dude!
Oh man, that's awful. What an awful thing to say.
Well, we're just fucking around. But so I don't. That's a tough. So when I think about it, because I saw him with Solinger, I never saw him with Harnell.
No,
I
me
don't
neither.
think I ever saw him with ZP.
I did.
I
but-
wanted to see Gronwell, but they never came
Yeah.
anywhere near me. I don't think.
Well,
so.
they did go. They played in, I think it was Eugene, and it was
They
on
did?
a weekday.
And I missed
with
it.
Buck
maybe
Cherry.
That's why.
With Buck
I think it was
Cherry.
a
I think
Tuesday or a Wednesday.
Yeah, it was
or
a
some
Wednesday,
shit.
and I was
Yeah,
like,
that was a-
"Fuck, I'm not going to drive."
Yeah, that's a
that
weird
far
night. The-
on
yeah.
in the middle of on a hump
Evil's
day.
a regular guy. I do have a job, people. So sometimes
was-
on the
there
weekdays
was
you got to go to
that,
work.
There was that hope that, you know what? That's a pretty
I
good
think I do
bill. It's
recall
going over
that. I
pretty
don't know
well.
whether-
Maybe they'll be back
Yeah.
and play in Portland, and they never did. I mean, Buck Cherry always plays in Portland, but
Well, I think at that run, I had hoped because again, that thing I just saw Queensryche at, and last year they had Firehouse, and a year or two before, which I couldn't go to, was Piercy, and they've had Bach there before, so I thought it's maybe they'll bring Skid Row with Eric into this thing at some point in time and let them headline here, but he was out of the picture before I think that could ever even transpire. So. But anyways, it's just funny that the guy from Trickster's telling the guy from Skid Row to shut his trap and give it up, buddy, because you're not getting your gig back. So, hey Pete, well, if I'm not a Trickster fan, but how are those other two guys running around being Trickster without you, dude? Like,
Me neither.
Aren't you the singer? How does that work out?
I think I've mentioned before that Trickster has been the only band I've fallen asleep to. When they were opening up for Scorpions, I fell asleep, and they woke my buddies woke me up during their encore. I think only because they needed me to move out of the way so they could go take a piss. But
Well,
yeah.
on the Revenge tour, they were the opening band, and it was a monsoon-like condition at this
Mm,
particular Revenge show, and it was Great White was the
mhm.
middle band. I think they were on the Psycho City or something tour right around
Oh
then,
yeah, that
maybe. I
sounds
don't know.
about right.
Sounds about right, but I know it was Trickster, Great White, and Kiss, and I didn't get there early enough for all of Trickster because I'm not a Trickster fan.
Mm,
But somewhere during the middle of their thing, I come, on this place was they're playing an arena sized place in a rain monsoon for the Revenge Tour. Put the numbers together here. I think there was about 3,000 people and something that could have put 10,000 in there,
hmm
right? So, pretty empty. I mean, just get on the floor and walk all the way up to the stage area because there's not a whole lot of people stopping you. And for the room. And so what I'm trying to say is somewhere in there, someone in now this is in Sacramento, California. If people don't know, when you play in California, you play in Los Angeles, San
hmm
Diego, San Francisco. These are big cities. They're kind of considered more upper class people,
Right.
astute. You go out to Sacramento, it's kind of like the redneck fucking,
Right.
you're playing to the hill jacks here. And a couple of these, someone not wanting to hear any more Trickster
No.
During a Steve Brown
Steve
guitar
Brown.
solo.
Oh
I
no.
see I see things being thrown at him, and
Yeah.
somewhere one of them was like a plastic cup with beer, which doesn't get
Oh.
there, but one of them was a penny, and I see this guy zing a fucking coin out of his hand,
Oh
a couple of
shit.
people down from me, and it hit Steve Brown in the
Hmm.
face, if I'm not mistaken. And
Oh.
anyone that was there at the show knows what I'm talking about because he stopped the guitar solo. He said, "Someone just hit me in the face with a penny. Well, fuck you, and I'll be screwing your girlfriend after the show." Starts playing the guitar
Yeah.
again. I just thought, man, what a douchey thing to say, dude.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, no one wants to be hit in the face with anything. And like
Right.
when Duff McKagan got hit, probably around the same a year
Hmm.
before or after, they're playing the same place, and Duff got hit with a beer bottle, and they literally stopped the GNR show because Duff was being taken for
Hmm.
a concussion in an ambulance, and it was on the MTV News. You can go
Oh
probably
yeah,
YouTube
yeah, I
that up.
remember.
But the point is, this venue is known for this. They don't treat the opening bands very well, and even the headlining band is not going to get any extra
Hmm.
room. If someone's being rowdy, it's going to get rowdy. And but I just thought, man, just ignore it. Don't say nothing to them. By feeding that fire, you're going to get more shit and more of these got more of these hill jacks pissed
Yeah.
off now. Just keep playing your guitar solo. And
Right.
so I never got into Trickster, and
No, me neither.
that moment made me think this Steve Brown guy's probably a douchebag himself. He just
He,
sounds like
he's a,
it.
he's actually a nice
I'm
enough
not saying
dude. I mean,
I,
admit.
I'm
Yeah, yeah,
totally
yeah.
and I'm sure now that was in 1991
Yeah.
or two or we. I mean, obviously people change and
Hmm.
we've all grown up. I'm just saying at that time it kind
Right.
of turned me off to him. I was
Well,
like, I don't
sure.
even want to hear you guys. No, I really don't want to.
Yeah.
So I think a more professional person would have just wiped his face or fluffed
Sure.
it off or whatever. But it's like this the. I think
Yeah.
Malmsteen does some of the same things,
Yeah.
and might mouth off to someone in the middle. It's
Sure.
just not.
Right.
Don't do that. Just play your guitar solo and
Yeah.
shut up. But well, Great White did it right. They knew coming up after Trickster that everyone wants to see Kiss. Like
Hmm.
no one is really here for us. I mean, there might be in this crowd, let's say 3,000, there's 100 people for Great White, and other than that, they're there to see Paul and Gene.
Hmm.
And anyone that saw the Revenge tours knows why those Kiss fans were there to see that show. And but what Jack and Mark did right was they banged out their songs. They played through the shit and the beer being tossed and the whatever going on, and gave them their couple of great white hits at the end, which I think
Hmm.
won most of us over. And me as a youngster, I'd only had heard the hits off of Great White. So when they played a couple of their album tracks, I was actually kind of stoked, and I became a bigger Great White fan because I was like, hey, they're not being douchers on stage. They're just playing
Hmm.
their fucking show regardless, whether you like it or not.
Right.
So more power to them. But I just thought that was funny. And last other note, I should say there is a new Firehouse song out there, and Nate's on it, and I think y'all should go support that. Mighty Fine Lady is out there for you to download. I think most people, if
Right.
you can find out there, I think it was only $1 or something, right? So what is that
Right.
going to
And I
cost you?
think they had it because oh fuck, what's the guitar player's name? He was on Trunk.
Bill,
Yeah,
Bill
Bill
Leverty.
Leverty. So he was on
Yep.
Trunk's show, and he was saying that I think it's you can get it directly from them on on the Firehouse website. So
Website. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So check that out.
There you go.
And the only other thing I thought I would make of news notes, which I thought was kind of funny, was both GNR and Iron Maiden have new drummers, and those
Mhm.
youngsters are out there on the kits. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it, but there was a video already of a GNR show where Axl
yeah.
was having to correct
Sure.
the young man on start whatever, and he did the
Yeah.
drums of the wrong
Yeah.
song, and Axl's like, "No, start." So the kid's learning trial by fire.
Right.
He's got a front man who's calling the shots. You better follow the signs, basically. But
Right.
so interesting to see how that will transpire. I'm sure they can play the parts, but as you all know, some of these, let's just be honest, Axl and Bruce can probably be pretty finicky frontmen. So if you're not following what the man's saying on the front end there, the drummer is probably the first one to hear about it. That's just usually how it works in bands. I don't know why that is, but the only thing lower than a bass player is the drummer, and we're down here at the bottom, and we're usually the guys get yelled at first. So they don't ever go to the lead guitar player. No one grabs Eddie Van Halen and says, "Hey, fuckhead."
Yeah.
But they were probably they probably grab Michael Anthony and say, "Hey, motherfucker."
Yeah.
So, anyways, I just thought it was funny, the video. If you can check it out, go search that up on the internet. Axl's trying to cue him into a different song, or maybe something that wasn't on the set list. I don't know. It just happened a week or two ago, but it was just funny. The kid's like, "Whoa, oh, wrong song." He's learning on the fly, man.
Right.
But I got to be honest with you, my mind did go to, what if they had, just for a split second, considered again Adler? And I went back and watched some of Adler's band at the M3. Yeah, that's never.
Yeah.
And it's just, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking the band. The band sounds pretty good, but the songs, Adler's, he's at his age, he's getting to where it's just like, he's like Peter Criss. He's barely hitting the drums. It's like it's as light as it gets, So I don't blame him. He's 60, So. But it did make me think, I could see why there would be zero chance that Duff's going to turn to that and be like, that's the engine we need driving us for a stadium size show or arena size show. So no offense to Adler, go out there and earn your check, my man. You got a pretty good singer actually too, but it was like the songs were like just barely at the speed of the album, and there was no energy to it. It was very, So anyways, I think that will pretty much wrap it up for this week, unless you have, might have one. Do you want to make an announcement for what we're doing soon here, or we might be having someone on Sunday? Oh, I lost your audio, brother.
Oh, I said we'll leave it at we have somebody returning, and I think the red foamy on the mic might be
I'll give you the
might
indication.
be a hint. But he's got a book coming out, and I think he's going to chat with us this weekend about it. So,
so we will have a Mr. Mystery guest for you on the next episode. And until then, we want you all to stay safe out there, kids. And the CMS Wrap Up Show is going to be I got to get brother Wendell to drive me back home or back to the hotel. Taylor's got my food, so she's.
Yeah, it's gonna get
I
cold.
I ordered some ribs and some steak and lobster. I have a feeling that some of that's going to be gone by the time we get there. She seems like the kind of girl who could probably clear out a good couple of dinner plates. So, anyways, Wendell's driving and we're heading back. And so, anyways, all y'all coming up this weekend, you got so CMS Live. So we'll see if we can stay awake past the first hour.
Segment.
So, all right, y'all.
All right.
We'll catch you. Bye, kids.
Raise your horns high, let your spirit flow.